Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, welcome to another comic episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's starting a street fight with me tonight?
Red Fox.
Welcome. And we are here to talk about a comic that we have been talking about doing for, I feel like it's been a year. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles vs. Street Fighter. It started out in June 2023 and ran for 5 issues. A little mini-series that doesn't fit into the Turtles canon, even though it's published by IDW. It's just a non-canon mini-series that confused the hell out of me.
It does explain a little bit, like, because obviously every side project like this takes like some part of a universe that already exists, and they use that as the basis. Front cover, you see Jenica, and then
why is she here?
Why is she here?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they're taking basis from the current run of IDW.
I know. It really baffled me because I didn't see her on the front cover when I started reading this. It wasn't until like the first couple pages when I'm like, Jenica, what is Jenica here for? Yeah,
she takes, well, as we'll go on, we'll see, but I feel like she takes a pretty big back seat in this whole thing.
She does.
It's almost unnecessary to have her in, but because they're trying to draw from the current run, they really had to like shoehorn her in a bit.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can still do stuff with just the 4 turtles.
You could have. You would have been fine with just the 4. It would have been great, but they wanted her in. And I mean, it kind of helps when you got Chun-Li here too. Even though they didn't really interact, you got the 2 girls on each side, so I guess it is what it is.
But there's also 5 turtles and only 4 Street Fighters. Like,
I don't know what to tell you on that one.
There's a lot of so when this went really quick. I read this whole thing twice, and I read this whole thing today in like an hour again. Like, this is a super quick read, and it's better than the Power Rangers Justice League book. But
I think every crossover we've done is better than the Power Rangers Justice League.
This one was low on the totem pole, but not that low. So for me,
no, this one, like the Justice League Power Ranger one, took itself a bit too serious. This one does not at all, and it helps it.
Yeah, it's a very simple type story too. I mean, the first cover is cool. Like, you have Ryu, Chun-Li, Ken, Guile, and you have the 5 turtles. I don't like saying that. On the other side.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say that, and it does sound weird.
It's just, to me, like, when you have these crossovers and you have these little, like the TMNT Stranger Things that there's also a comic series, which we will someday talk about on the show. Like, I think that only has the 4 turtles on the cover. Like, I mean, I get it that Jenica, like, they want to make her more of a standout turtle, and I don't like the fact that I'm not completely okay with that, but, like, that's me being stupid, so I'll give it that. But it's like, this, if you're going to do something, a random miniseries just that doesn't fit into the canon, just do the classic turtles. Like, don't try to shoehorn, or if you're going to shoehorn her in, at least put another character on the other team. Like, Street Fighter, especially Street Fighter 2, which this is pulling from, has such a memorable cast. They could have easily put DJ, somebody in here for the Street Fighter crew that would fit in with them. I mean, I just pulled DJ out of my ass, essentially, as a name, but he could work. He's a hero character. I mean, Blanca, you could have had Blanca in here. Dulcine, like, E Honda, somebody.
Yeah, throw E
Honda. I mean, not Chun-Li, but Cammy.
Honda.
E Honda would have been fine.
Yeah, even Cammy.
Yeah, like, if you want another female character, like, it just, I don't know, it just bugged me. Like, even the way the comic starts with just Raphael and Guile fighting in a ring. One thing is, like, I'm not a big Street Fighter fan. I did discover Street Fighter 2 on the show recently, like a couple months, depending when you're hearing this. But, like, they don't fight in rings. They're Street Fighters. You know?
Yes, so.
I mean, it's just weird to me. Like, there are other games that are all about, you know, that type of aspect. I was kind of surprised why they go with, like, a tournament arena setting for this comic.
Well, at least the tournament I get, because Street Fighter is a whole tournament style, like most fighting games were at the time. Yes. Like a tournament style kind of fight. The thing here, like you said, though, is that it takes place in an arena, boxing ring. Little off, I guess.
No Balrog. Like, you could have put Balrog here.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, at least, they mentioned him, but you just don't see him.
Yeah, they mention him, but you don't see him. You just get a line of him.
Mm-hmm.
And not even him talking, him being talked to, where where Bison just says his name because they want, oh yeah, remember the other Street Fighter 2 character we didn't bother to draw? He's here. You just don't see him.
Weird. I don't know. I wonder what, like, really inspired this crossover, because
it's odd. And another weird thing is, like, months before I even found out this was a thing, there was a 2-pack of toys at Target of the Turtles and Street Fighter characters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is this here? And then I found there was a comic coming out. So I don't know. Like, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it kind of makes sense then. But Also, there was no Jenica in those toys, by the way. It was Ryu, Ken, Guile, and Chun-Li. There was no Jenica and someone else. Weird. Like they didn't want to include her in the first place. But you just you don't get. I mean, you get Raphael and Guile fight in the arena where they're kind of equal match. You see a small scene of Bison in wherever the fuck he's at in his headquarters talking with Baxter Stockman and how they have a partnership. And I found that kind of weird too. I mean, just I don't know. I do like Stockman being a villain and being the standout villain in something.
Yeah, I mean, they've done it before with him. It's just for this one, wouldn't be one you expect probably.
Yeah, he wasn't the one I expected at all. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't mind seeing him, and him working with Bison, I feel like it works, and they make it work well. It just surprised me a little.
Yeah, it ends up doing the job. I think Baxter was, being as smart as he is, I mean, he is written always to be very arrogant, but they just kind of turned it up a little bit more. But you got to think, too, I guess he kind of did talk this way to, Krang and Shredder.
Yeah. He's
the smartest guy in the room, and he lets everybody know it every second he gets.
That I didn't mind, or the fact that Bison just could have killed him instantly, but it was fine. It didn't bother me. It was just weird to me when I was first reading this. I'm like, shouldn't this be Shredder here? But I get it. I know where that's going. So,
well, yeah, they didn't want to put two TMNT villains, up right away. They wanted to split it between the two franchises.
Yeah. I do like the whole Mikey Chun-Li thing that they do pretty early on, where he spills nacho cheese on her.
Mm-hmm.
I did find that amusing. And I like how he falls in love with her right away.
Yeah.
It's a different Mikey than what, one of the issues, I've been having this problem now ever since whenever we read other TMT comics, I keep coming back to the IDW run that I need to read more of. And those are completely different turtles.
Yeah, these ones in here are more reminiscent, I feel, of, the 80s, even though that's not what they're pulling from. Their personalities still more reflect that, because Mikey in IDW, he is the happy party type, but at the same time, he's very innocent and caring and almost soft in a sense. You don't really see that here in this one.
I mean, I liked it with him hitting on Chun-Li and kind of, falling for her. I get it. Especially after he loses to her, I get it. She'll get to it, another issue, but... I mean, and you also get a few plot points introduced right away where somebody's looking for a fighter that went missing after their match and gives Leo paper, and he's like, okay. You have little things that kind of start leading up to it, to what's going to happen. And Raphael being, hot-tempered Raphael, that fits perfectly.
Yep, and he has this rivalry with Guile. And then there's the forced disqualification here from all the way down from Bison.
Which is cool to see. I do like some of that, and they're in Atlantic City, you find out, which I find kind of okay, that works. I forget about Atlantic City. It has casinos, and it's the second area of because people gamble in this country. I just forget about it.
Oh, yeah. And Raph's the fist, causing pain.
Well, he feels cheated out of the fight.
Yep.
Because he shouldn't have been disqualified. I like how Guile's even mad, too, where he's like, oh, you wanted me to lose. You couldn't beat me. Fits Raphael. The fight with Michelangelo and Chun-Li, it does amuse me, though. Especially how he loses, where she grabs him with her thighs and makes him tap out.
Yep.
That's fucking hilarious.
Dream come true for him.
Mm-hmm. I like it where she's like, submit. And his line is gladly. And I feel like that's meant there for more than one reason. So it amused me very much so. And that's when he kind of falls in love with her. But it works. I mean, it fits those two turtles, I feel like, very well. I mean, it introduces you to them in a way if you weren't a big reader of TMT and then you just happen to read this comic because you're a fan of Street Fighter, you could easily pick it up and enjoy it. And you have enough information. The
turtles in this are easily digestible for people that, because everybody that is reading this, if they're Street Fighter fans, they know who the turtles are. But even if they're not big fans of the turtles, they can digest it very easily and jump right along with it. Yeah, and probably same with Street Fighter too. There's enough there. There's enough there because, I think we're both somewhat Street Fighter fans, but not enough, nowhere near diehard fan. And we know who the characters are. Yeah, I'm trying. But my way of digging into fighters isn't actually playing fighters. It's watching YouTube videos about fighters. Well, that's the better way. Unless you're really into competitive fighting games. That's me. Tekken. Yeah, it's definitely you. I'm a gigantic Tekken fan, but for me, I was more interested in the characters and music and backstories than I ever was the actual fighting mechanic. Mooney would disagree with you. Yeah, not wrong.
But yeah, no, I mean that's what I like about fighters. Like I've been on a Street Fighter kick for a while, where there's YouTube videos that I mentioned before. Top Hat Gaming Man, he does videos talking about the characters from Street Fighter. Like he'll pick up one character, talk about like 30, 40 minutes about said character, and tell you all the games they've been in, all their appearances, their backstory, and everything. And I enjoy stuff like that a lot.
Yeah, I actually watched that guy here and there. I know who you're talking about.
So I mean that's how I've been experiencing my fighters, and that's how I enjoy it. Because like I'll play the game, but I just enjoy all the history and backstory to characters like that.
That's its most interesting part. Like he's even covered stuff like Saturday. He's a big wrestling fan too, so he'll do video games like Saturday Night Slam Masters and get into history of like Mike Hager, which I wish he was in here because he's really a dope character.
Yeah, I mean he's part of the Street Fighter universe, so he could be in here.
Right.
Final Fight is the Street Fighter universe.
I'd laugh if he's in a cameo somewhere I didn't notice.
There aren't many cameos in this even. Like, okay, they have all those missing fighter posters that you see a few in this first issue when the Street Fighter team is walking down the alley before they get jumped by Raphael. And no cameos. They could easily fit something in. Nothing.
You think it's some licensing issue? Or?
It had to be a licensing issue. It had to be something where Capcom wasn't being very forthcoming and being, they just wanted them to make something, but they weren't being like, have fun with it.
We're only signing off on these 5 characters. Have fun.
Yeah, something like that. It feels very controlled because you could have easily put more characters in, and they don't.
Oh yeah, because they got a big roster. I mean, they even have that fat dude. Is it Rufus or whoever it is? I think he's in this comic. But...
He's in here for one scene where he says his name, and that's it. He's from Street Fighter 4, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Never played 4. I own multiple copies of that game, but I've never touched it.
Stop telling people that.
I do it all the time in the show. But yeah, I have a couple copies in 360, a couple copies in PS. I have one copy on PS3. I have it on Steam. Yeah, one day I'll play it. Huh?
Probably not.
Yeah, I just did like I said, it's Street Fighter 2 on the show. I'm doing this. I'm going to do Alpha on the show at some point. I want to. So I'm going to try.
Surprised you even did Street Fighter 2.
I found people that love it that can talk about it with me. I can talk about the lore. They can talk about the gameplay and how the game works. That's all that happened. But yeah, I was kind of surprised too. I needed something short in between all my RPGs I've been doing. That helps for that. But the ending of this comic is Raphael attacks Guile, and you see blood on Raphael's mouth, and he talks about, when I unlock my psycho power, for some reason. Oh no, that's Bison saying about when he unlocks his psycho power.
They got cameras all over the city, so he can kind of keep up with what's going on.
Yeah.
It's also kind of like Japan. There's cameras everywhere.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I don't mind that. I keep track of where cameras are in general, in real life. So, yeah. I just like to know when I'm being recorded.
Yeah, I think we all kind of like to know that.
Some people are pretty stupid. So, and when I mean that, I mean like people stealing stuff at stores that obviously have cameras and post pictures of the criminals in the store, and then people go and do it anyway and get to add it to the wall of shame. So, and then it brings to the second issue, which the cover is Ryu versus Leo. Leo is like a broken sword in a lot of this comic. Did it break at some point?
Like in the IDW continuity?
Well, this isn't part of the continuity. I was like, did it break in this comic? I just didn't realize it because I know near the end he has a broken sword.
I don't know. Let's try to catch it because I don't remember it.
Okay. I also didn't like it because the turtles don't have their weapons a lot of time because they're, fighting in an arena. Like, that's the purpose because Street Fighters don't use weapons. Mm-hmm. And that kind of takes away from what the turtles are, in my opinion.
Yeah. Then again, turtles did have their own fighting game. That was Street Fighter knockoff.
Oh, Tournament Fighters?
Yeah.
It's a bad game.
Yeah, not wrong.
From what I remember.
From what probably everybody remembers.
This issue starts off with Guile and Raphael fighting, and then this is when they all get shocked by the camera thing you're talking about, the Bison's controlling. He shocks everybody, and I guess his henchmen carry off the bodies in different places, so the turtles blame the Street Fighters, and Street Fighters blame the turtles. And Baxter keeps yelling at Bison saying, "Don't touch those turtles! They'll cause nothing but trouble!" In that tone of voice, too, I'm sure.
Probably.
And I think this is when Leo fights Ryu, Leo finally wins, because they've lost the 2 matches earlier. And Leo beats Ryu, and then Donatello fights Ken. Does he win? It was really not say. Or no, yeah, he doesn't win because eventually Jenica throws Ryu into the arena because Raphael was arguing with Guile. I don't know, I didn't like Jenica, which just bothers me. And I feel like it's just me being an asshole because I haven't read enough IDW, and I'm upset about that.
Well, you don't have a connection or an understanding of the characters. So
no, not at all.
Up to that point, it helped because I saw her in here. It didn't bother me much. The writers didn't use her well enough. Like she was, again, shoehorned in. She didn't have much of a purpose in this, but the character itself from the comics, I don't mind it, and it's actually fine.
Okay, I just don't know anything about her. And in this, the only knowledge they give you is at one point when Shredder shows up and he's like, "You're a traitor!" And there's one line going, "He used to be my boss."
Yeah, that actually goes pretty deep. When and if you actually read the comics that far, you'll see, like, oh, that's what the hell they're talking about.
Hey, the comic actually ended.
For now.
Well, I mean, her run ended.
Oh, yeah, the writer, correct.
Yeah, and they're doing it. I think they're starting over.
No, I think they're continuing it again. Maybe they're just taking a break. I don't think they're rebooting it. But if they are, they are. But I know they're picking it back up in, I want to say, June.
And I know it's coming back because I've seen the writers and stuff that they were getting. But I thought maybe the run was done. Like they were going to do a new run.
No, you could be right. I just didn't. When I read the news, I didn't see anything about it being a new restart.
I haven't read much. I just know that everything after she takes over from 100 to 150 is part of the Turtles Reborn volumes. They actually have titles now. So it'd be easy when we get to it someday.
Yeah.
I still want to, by the way. I still think about that damn run. But yeah, no, there's just not enough. There's no history for me with Jennica, and this doesn't add it, and it just upsets me that she's here because she just feels unnecessary. Yeah. And there's some humorous stuff when the Turtles and Street Fighter start working together and all the... What the hell is the name of Bison's corporation? Shadowloo?
Yeah.
Okay. When you start seeing all their his minions come running in, and I mean, those costumes look like they're straight from that stupid movie, the Street Fighter movie. I don't remember if those costumes show up anywhere else besides that movie. They have to, but I don't. I mean, Street Fighter, you don't really see them.
Yeah, not the biggest Street Fighter fans. No, not positive.
So there's not a whole lot that happens here. They're fighting them, and then eventually Raphael and Chun-Li get zapped and captured because Bison is making a psycho bomb. That's how they put it, all in capitals. And then he captures them, and then the Turtles decide to work together. I do like where Michael Adams like, we need to rescue Chun-Li and Raphael. Like, you don't even care.
Mm-hmm.
It did amuse me.
Yeah, again, Mikey, they usually get right in every iteration of him. So no complaints.
No, and I am very curious about Jennica. Like, in the last part of this, you have an ad for the Turtles Reborn where it says, like, Volume 1 From the Ashes by Sophie Campbell, and it shows the 5 turtles. Like, I am curious about her, and I feel like had I read some of that run, I wouldn't have been as irritated as I was.
She's a rather interesting character that I think they pulled off correct. They could have really blown it. They did it right. What they didn't do right with her, or any of the turtles for that matter, is Sophie Campbell run and how they tried to change all their personalities up. Like it just was very off-putting, even with her.
I look forward to reading it someday. I mean, at some point I want us to get back to that, but I know we have other stuff planned first. So
if you look at it says collect them all and it has the different covers.
Yes.
See where it says cover B? That's like the illustrated version of the 90s movie, Raphael, with a more realistic version of Guile, as if he was an actor.
I'm looking that up right now. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. I didn't catch that.
That was pretty cool.
The alternate covers are always cool. Some of them I really like.
These ones, they actually did a really good job with some of these alternate covers.
Oh, there's one here, the Bulletproof comic exclusive cover for that issue, whereas all the Street Fighters around there in the like Akuma, Sagat, Vega, everybody, Cammy, Sakura, like Ihana, like where was this? Like why wasn't this here? Like it wouldn't have been that hard.
It's a good phone wallpaper, by the way.
I still have the one where the Power Rangers become dinosaurs as my background from when we did that comic.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, I haven't changed it. I just like that one a lot. And then that brings us to issue 3. This cover is Raphael and Chun-Li tied up on the cover because they look like they're about to be experimented on. And they both look so fucking muscular.
Oh, yeah.
Like, insanely muscular. I'm like,
Raph is, like, even more jacked than usual. But they kind of went with more of a, like, even for the Turtles or just any, like, even that gigantic cop that kind of makes a little bit of a cameo here and there.
Yeah.
They're all that Street Fighter blocky body illustrated version.
Yeah, they do a lot of that.
And Halo Soda is an anagram. Shadowloo.
I thought that was so stupid when they had that part. Stupid and funny at the same time.
It worked out, I guess.
It was, I don't know. I was just like, I just don't know.
It's a bit of a stretch, but then again, this is meant to be a comedic, like non-serious comic.
Yeah. This is also where you see, like right before that, you see Chun-Li and Raphael are captured at the Halo Soda headquarters, and when they start No, they don't start fighting yet, and then also at the same time, the other turtles in the Street Fighter start chasing the guy, and that's when they figure out, the whole Shadowloo. Like, you're right. I mean, it is a very comedic comic. Like, even when they're fighting Baxter, and at one point Chun-Li's choking him, and he's like, I unhook the cuffs, and she's like, aha, and then he hooks it back up. It's just like stupid.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm glad they took that approach. I mean, it could have been nice if it was all serious tournament style or whatever. But if you're gonna, not with Street Fighter necessarily, they didn't. I'm glad they took this approach to it. It kind of reminds me like a fun '90s kind of pairing.
Yeah,
like if the turtles were like being paired with like, let's say Mortal Kombat or even like a Tekken, I would expect it to be a lot more on a serious note.
Mortal Kombat would have to be. Well, plus you could use weapons in Mortal Kombat because everybody else is.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody, but there's a few people with weapons in Mortal Kombat. So, and you're fighting like fucking gods.
Well, shit, if you're talking
literally
some of the 3D Arrow Mortal Kombats, like there were games where literally every character had a weapon.
Oh yeah, Deadly Alliance, they introduced that, didn't they? Where you do more damage, but you take more damage.
I think it was one of the first ones where everybody had one.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't touched any of those games in so long.
Yeah, me either, man.
I think about them, but it's been a while. But no, I mean, it's good that they went for this comedic effect. And I mean, this was a funny comic. There were a lot of dumb stuff, and that was amusing. Like, you have Chun-Li does her helicopter kick, which was amusing. It's cool to see they worked in the special moves. You have a part where Michelangelo and Guile are chasing after this random guy, and Michelangelo jumps on the Ferris wheel to grab him. Like, they just have some funny stuff. Like, the turtles fighting, and at one point when the turtles like, tell them our names, and it's like, we got names, and he's like, you want the names? He's like, no. Just silly stuff. I mean, and I think at one point when Raphael and Chun-Li are finally escaping, and then Raphael sacrifices himself so that way Chun-Li can escape and he stays and fights, and it reminded me of the movie, of him getting just beaten up by a bunch of goons of the first movie. Yeah,
he's known to just take on too many and get his ass whooped. It's happened more than once.
It fits the character. And then at the end of this issue, this is when you finally see the Shredder, that the Shredder was inside one of the capsules having his psycho power drained, and he escapes, and Baxter's all upset.
Yep. And Shredder is also jacked as hell.
Everybody's jacked to hell in this. Like, ridiculously jacked to hell. I didn't expect that.
Once I saw it, because I didn't expect it either, but I was like, that makes sense with the Street Fighter pairing.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't bother me. I just didn't expect it. That's really it. It wasn't an issue. I wasn't like, this is stupid. Well, I mean, the Street Fighter, it fits with what Street Fighter is. I mean, most of those characters are all very much jacked. So, just kind of, they just went with that theme. So it didn't bother me too much. And then you get to issue 4, which has Shredder on the cover, I guess, being drained of a psycho power, and Raphael and Chun-Li are in a capsule, which never actually happened. Yeah. It's kind of a weird cover.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I mean, that's what Chun-Li and Raphael are meant to be there for, so they can be drained of their psycho power. And
yes, but it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. No.
Raphael, it does.
Maybe that's the thing, is they made this cover like during the writing process, and just was like,
good point.
Shit.
I mean, I do like seeing Shredder, because in this first part, you just see him being a monster and just taking out Shadowloo thugs left and right.
Oh, and it makes so much sense. And I love that, him and Bison end up going at it. That is so nice.
He's also a much more powerful Shredder than what you see. But I also like a little thing I appreciate. This is not the IDW Shredder from the comics, because his costume is completely different. It's kind of the Shredder from the '87 cartoon, like style outfit.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix, I guess, of both worlds. It's like how the turtles act, and then how Shredder looks. It's kind of a mix of a few things.
So would you say it's the best of both worlds, or one she can be a rock star and one she's a high school girl?
Oh, buddy. Oh, there's Raph in a capsule.
Yeah, he gets shoved in a capsule because of Bison and gets his power drained out from his psycho power drained out from him.
Yep.
And you do have a small part in here where more comedy, where Baxter's yelling at Bison, and the nurse is like, he left 20 seconds ago. And I was thinking, he only has like one line of dialogue where he's leaving. Like, he must have been talking really slow, where he's like, we'll make a strategic retreat, formulate a plan, then return and take Shredder down. And he said that whole sentence and it took him 20 seconds. No, comedic release. There's a lot of that in this, which is fine. It's fine. And the psycho power fits Bison, because for those Street Fighter fans, like, that's his power. That's where he gets all his crazy energy from. I mean, if you would have went the Akuma route, it would have been all the, I know the word, Hakido or something like that power. I'm butchering it, but yeah, there's some shadow power for Akuma. So it's fine. And then Chun-Li escapes, runs into Guile in the group. Michelangelo hugs her. I do like how they both blush. That was a cool little touch. And Baxter's dumbass drops into the sewer right with the Turtles and the Street Fighters.
Yep.
I did appreciate where Jenica puts the freaking claw right up to his neck to murder him.
Oh yeah, but her past. I mean, she worked for Shredder, so kind of says it all.
It is cool that because her weapon is claws, then, right? Like that's her normal weapon.
That's her normal weapon, yeah.
Okay, I'm all right with that. She's not as cool as the last turtle I've seen with claws, but hey, we all can't be Slash. So
good old Slash.
But it was still cool. Like I still appreciated just seeing her kind of like because I don't know much about her. I just know. I mean, I didn't even know she worked for Shredder in the comics in the IDW stuff.
Oh yeah, I never really said. Well, we never really reached her yet at all. So
we won't anytime soon.
Yeah, probably not. But I never wanted to ruin anything. This comic gave you a bit of a heads up, but I'm forcing myself to not say more.
Okay, yeah, because there'll be. I mean, we currently don't even have any plans to really jump back into that arc. And even when we get there, she don't show up to like issue 100 or right around there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll figure something out. I'm sure who knows, like Power Rangers will have a hiatus or, something makes sense to where
every other.
It's something like that. I mean, because I doubt we're going to be doing, Rangers every podcast, so we could have an opportunity to do a Turtle arc, I would assume.
Yeah, we'll make it happen because I get the itch every time we read a Turtles comic. I get the itch again to go back to IDW.
Yeah, for me, it's a little harder because where I'm at, it's only just starting to slightly tip in the scales of being a little better. But I had to endure a lot of bullshit to get to that point.
The Reborn stuff is bad, huh?
It's atrocious. So like I had to debate, like, do I want to keep reading this comic? Is it worth it to continue?
Well, considering I'm pretty sure I know how you were reading it. Less of an issue, I think.
Yeah, but you got to think even now, though, I still haven't really kept up. Like I've been reading Last Ronin stuff, all that. I'm caught up until the newest, like Last Ronin 2. I just started kind of picking at that a little bit, but otherwise, I haven't really done too much Turtle stuff because of that. I keep up more on Power Rangers than anything at this time.
I'm curious about Last Ronin 2. I'm waiting for it to finish, and then we'll definitely talk about it. Once it does its run. I think it started already.
It already did. First issue's out.
But I bet they're being really slow about it.
I would assume so.
So, because it came out in December of 2023. The first issue of Last Ronin. And have we not gotten issue 2 yet?
For Last Ronin 2?
Yeah.
That just came out in April. It just came out a few weeks ago.
Oh, well, it was supposed to come out a long time. It was supposed to come out before that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, never mind. It was supposed to come out in 2023. Never mind then. Yeah, it'll be a while, huh? Yeah, March 2024 when that book came out. Damn. Yeah, it'll be a while before I care about it. I'm not going to take any interest till it's all finished. Then I'll read the whole thing and record about it, next year when they finally finish it.
Pretty much.
I'm okay with that. I got plenty of stuff to read and plenty of stuff to cover. And then you have the Street Fighters. They all get together with the Turtles and they go back to... They get to Shadowloo's base, and this is when they find Shredder just murdered everybody with the red eyes.
Yep, and he keeps those red eyes the entire time.
I like that. I like the idea that he's all messed up on psycho power. And that the idea is that all these fighters have psycho power because they all rely on their anger in a fight.
Yeah, and Shredder is pretty ruthless. Like his personality in this one, just because he looks like the 87 cartoon doesn't mean he acts like it. Like
I'm glad
his attitude and personality is straight from IDW, if not even slightly more exaggerated.
I would say more exaggerated. He's just a fucking beast in this. He ends up taking on the Street Fighters and all the Turtles at the same time, and he's still holding his own.
Yeah.
Ryu is no wimp. You look at Street Fighter canon stuff, Ryu's a very, very powerful character. And then when you have Ryu, Jenica, and Leo fighting Shredder, Donatello and Ken, when Baxter went to go stop the bomb because the bomb's going to be launched, and Baxter believed the bomb's going to be launched in the middle of New Mexico and hit a desert. And this is when So I have a big question here. So as they're rescuing everybody, again, you could got more cameos, and they give us a turtle cameo that confused the hell out of me. First thing, why? Oh, God, why did somebody think, you know what, out of all the mutants that we could think of in Turtles, you know what mutant we're going to go? We're going to go with Pete the Pigeon.
Pigeon Pete. You know what? I didn't hate it. I actually love Pigeon Pete.
I laughed.
But
why is Pigeon Pete wearing clothes now, and he's like turtle size, and he's like human size?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you.
Okay, I thought maybe that was something from the comics.
Yeah. No, I don't think he changes physically in the comics at all, as far as I remember.
That confused me, too. I'm like, Pigeon Pete is a little pigeon. Like, the last time I saw him in issue 50, that came out in 2016, he was a little pigeon. Now he's a gigantic humanoid wearing a onesie. I was just confused. I didn't like it.
Even in the IDW original run, he was a bit bigger than a normal pigeon would be.
But not like this.
But nothing close to this, no.
It was just weird. And I was just also like, why Pete? Of all the characters you could pick, why Pete? The comic relief.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. And what better comic relief character do they have in Turtle?
Fucking pigeon. No. I just want Leatherhead. Leatherhead would have made sense to me. All the other good characters.
Well, you got all these jacked, buff, serious characters for the most part. Like, they're like, let's do something totally opposite.
Let's do a buff Pete the Pigeon. Yeah, that's what the people want. And then they have Rufus, which is from Street Fighter 4. We mentioned a little bit ago for one panel. Says, "Hi, I'm Rufus." That's it. I'm just like, you couldn't have drawn in other characters and other panels just because, like, nope.
Is he kind of like a comic relief character in Street Fighter? Or, I don't know.
No idea. I don't think Top Hat Gaming Man did a video on him, so I can't say. Or if he did, I haven't watched it. I have no connection to Rufus.
Was it Street Fighter 4 and was it Tekken 5 or 6?
Tekken 6 is 360. Tekken 5 is PS2. If that's where you're going with us.
Yeah, so maybe it was 6. Then they both introduced fat dudes at the same time in both of their fighting games, and there's some story behind that. I'm sure somebody knows out here that's listening to why both had a fat guy at the same time in their games.
Oh, okay.
These overly fat, like, good fighters, for whatever reason.
Okay, I have no idea, but I'll take it. I don't remember Tekken who you're talking about, but I do. I mean, I know it's Street Fighter, obviously, but I don't know who you're talking about.
Was it just Bob? Maybe his name?
God, I think you're right. I think it is Bob. A guy like in a blonde hair with a big red coat on, or
I guess his full name is, it's just Bob, but his name is Robert Richards.
Okay. I unfortunately haven't touched a Tekken game since Tekken 5. Back when I was still in Milwaukee, around you. The last time I played a Tekken game, really.
Yeah, so then you missed out on Bob.
Yeah, probably I'll play more Tekken. I know some cool stuff in Tekken games later on with the single-player stuff, but
I just don't watch the anime. The newer anime.
Oh, is it bad?
It sucks.
Oh, okay. So after the dumb stuff with these characters, you then have where Baxter tricks Ken into breaking the computer because he's like, we could reprogram it, or we could destroy it. Ho ho ho! And so Ken just breaks it and falls into the trap. Ken's an idiot, and that's fitting. I think Ken's an idiot in the comics too, or not the comic, but the games. Like the idea of Ken, and it's fine. This is when Bison then tells them that he's actually gonna. Or no, Donatello figures out they were actually gonna bomb Manhattan. He wasn't gonna bomb the desert. He was gonna kill everybody in Manhattan to show that. So his whole theory is that I'm going to make this type of bomb by using fighters' powers. I'm going to bomb New York, and then they're going to be so scared of me they're going to let me be the ruler of the world, and I won't bomb them again. It's a very 90s action movie plot. It feels like that feels very 90s.
Yeah, 80s and 90s, 007 kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and then so this is where you see Leo has the broken sword. I think that's a broken sword. It's a really badly drawn sword.
No, it's broke.
Okay, and that's why I was wondering if maybe, like, there was a reason why he has a broken sword, like something that happened in the comics that, like, they were kind of, like... Same thing with Pete. Like, I was wondering if the Pete thing was, like, a reference because in, like, the later stuff, he became more humanoid for some reason.
I mean, unless there's stuff, like... Because this takes place during much later run, so, like, there's things that happen that I didn't see. I don't know.
This is not canon either. I know that.
It's not, but if they're still drawing from it...
Yeah.
They would... Good chance they could reflect that kind of stuff, but no, I don't know.
Okay, I was just curious. I haven't read any more of the TMT run since we read 50. I purposely have stayed away and been waiting.
Wow, since 52. When do we do that?
Last year. Like mid last year. It's been a bit. Because then we took a break and we started doing the spin-offs and stuff. Like
we're still doing.
Yes, we're still doing. We still got... Well, then we started Power Rangers too, so. And the last thing you see is... Shredder beat the crap out of the people he's fighting. Bison is all happy because their bomb is going to happen no matter what. And then it just shows him laughing. Then it says, to be concluded. And then that brings us to the last issue of this. Issue 5, which... Let me see what the cover... The cover of issue 5 is cool. That bomb looks a lot like a Technodrome in the bottom part of this cover.
It kind of does. And then they have Shredder jumping down with him as if he's going to help him out. Not the case.
Yeah, and you have Ryu doing a Hadouken, which you never see in this whole comic.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, they don't really do the special moves, which is what Street Fighter's known for.
No sonic booms, I don't think.
No.
Nothing.
You just have Chun-Li's helicopter kick. That's it. And this is we were talking, like, the last issue started with Bison talking on the phone on top of a roof, and this is where you have him say, "What? No, Balrog, I'm not hiding." And that's the only thing from Balrog. Like, you couldn't have put up, like, a panel of him flying the helicopter or something. Nope, we're just going to have his name. No, it bothered me. Little things, but it bothered me. And then this is when finally Baxter now is on their side because he doesn't want to destroy Manhattan. And he tells Shredder, like, "Oh, you have friends there, too." And Shredder just don't care because he's all raged up on psycho power and crazy. I do like Monster Shredder, kind of like how powerful he is in this and how he beats the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
I do like that. You know, that stuff was cool. I mean, it works. Like, you know, I think this is when... Oh, yeah, they're trying to get the psycho power out of the bomb because the bomb's going to go off. And this is when Raphael puts himself inside the container to then draw out all the psycho power into himself, which I thought more was going to happen with this. I was expecting a bigger climax than that. But you do get some cool panels of Shredder and Bison fighting and choking each other, and they're going, you know, hand to hand. Like, I did, that was kind of cool.
That was a nice one.
I mean, Bison's a very, very powerful character, so it's cool to see in this, and also see how badass Shredder, because he's taken down like everybody at one point. So they're fighting until Raphael shows up, the Psycho Power Raphael, and then he just starts he takes out both Bison and Shredder like in one hit each. And he does like the teleport thing too, which I thought was cool that Bison can do.
I never saw a purple turtle before.
And I wasn't expecting that either. But the idea of Raphael being the turtle that absorbs all this hate and anger makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about it.
No, it fits Raphael. If it's going to be any turtle, it's going to be him. And then you think he's dead because Jenica apparently doesn't know how to check a pulse.
Really, yeah.
I did like how Kenneth's like, "Wow, that's a bummer. He seemed like a real nice turtle." And it turns out he's not dead, but I thought that was funny.
And he says something about, you know, like inviting him to his funeral. Damn, that's it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and then Baxter gets arrested. Chun-Li works for Interpol and going to take him away. And again, you have a couple of the fighters they rescued, no cameo. Like, they could have easily drawn some Street Fighter characters and nothing. Not even like joke characters, like Charlie or somebody else or Dan. People make fun of in Street Fighter from Alpha.
Yeah.
Like, nothing. You couldn't even put one cameo, and that's where I really feel like Capcom said no.
I mean, I don't know what else explains it other than that.
Yeah, and when Raphael did Psycho Power, he also used his power to throw Bison and Shredder into the water, which reminded me of Turtles too. That's what it made me think of. And then you see Shredder and Bison are still fighting in the water, even though they probably are going to drown because they're pulling at each other. That doesn't matter because the comic just forgets about them. Then you have a little scene of Michelangelo flirting with Chun-Li while they're eating nachos, because earlier he said something about we could share nachos together. So it comes back around. And then the last part, they all get into the van, but Raphael wants his rematch with Guile. So then you see a panel of them on the van on the on the semi truck on the freeway, and Raphael's fighting Guile on the roof.
They're driving right towards the sign.
Yes.
This last panel, it was pretty cool. It's a nice visual fitting of the characters, I suppose so too. But it really reminded me of Double Dragon fighting on top of trucks.
Okay, that's fair. I don't really remember that. I haven't played Double Dragon game in so long.
I think, well, shit, it might have been even first one, but I remember for sure. I want to say Super Double Dragon did it, and then even one of the more recent ones.
Okay, and this is what confused me. Why I thought Last Ronin 2 came out last year. The last page is an advertisement for the Last Ronin 2 and says starts this December.
Oh, really? I never even noticed that.
Yeah, so that's what got me going, oh, okay. And then turned out, didn't start in 2023.
Where does it say starts? Oh, yeah, I see it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was so confused. I'm like, but my guess is it's good. Revolution, or the Last Ronin 2 is going to take fucking months to get out each issue. Like, we might be lucky if we get the whole series this year. For the 5 issues, it's probably going to be again.
Happened.
So yeah, that wraps up Turtles vs. Street Fighter. A strange comic. I mean, it went quickly. It was a really quick read. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I expected. I was hoping for more. Like, I would have just enjoyed more fights. I would have enjoyed like every issue having multiple fights of TMT characters and Street Fighter characters, and just enjoying a bunch of fan service. And I didn't get that. I got a half-baked story.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of substance, and that's what kind of hurts. I think our analysis today is that lack of substance. Like, as we skim through the comic, there's not really much there to like bite on, you know. So what can we truly say at the end? I
mean, it exists, and it's cool that it exists. I mean, I can't complain with the price I paid for it, so I just wouldn't pay for it. Just read it online.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of like a novelty like candy in the shape of a turtle or something like. Like it tastes great for a few seconds, or it's over. No, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy it exists. And hey, they made toys out of it, and some people bought said toys. I did not. I don't buy figures too often.
I saw them, and I didn't either because I'm not the biggest Street Fighter fan.
Yeah, but hey, I'm okay that it exists.
I'm not mad at it. Like it serves its purpose, I suppose. Could it have been better? Definitely. Could it have been a little more engaging? Maybe a bit. I am glad they took the comedic route, but I do wish there was a bit more substance in there and cameos, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, that just felt like that was such a missed opportunity not to have cameos.
You got a Fit and Pete cameo.
Of all the cameos I wanted, that was not a character I would even have suggested, even thought. Now, Leatherhead, you would have got me. You would have got me smiling. So, Rat King, you would have got me smiling. Something, not fucking Pete the Pigeon. We should go to Shelf Stacker Box. We're already kind of there. I'll go first to get mine out of the way. It's going to go in the box. I'm glad I read this, but I will never read this again. I don't think I'll recommend it to anybody unless you're like, well, you need something to read. You could read this. You'll read an hour, and you'll forget about it within the week or within the day, but hey, it exists. So go in the box. But I'm glad we finally covered it, and hey, another Street Fighter thing to add to the collection of this podcast. And what about you?
Well, like you said, it's kind of forgettable. After I read this, there's no chance I'll go back and read it again. Some of the visuals are pretty cool. That's as far as it goes for me. The only option I'd have on this is just to really box it.
Okay. So now that we've done most of these crossovers for Turtles, we just have the Stranger Things crossover and then the 3 Batman ones. That's all that's left for all the crossover stuff for Turtles. And you see Usagi Yojimbo one. I think that's all finished too.
Yeah.
Maybe. We've been slowly doing other Turtle stuff since we got to 50. We'll see.
It was a good milestone to kind of veer off and see what else is out there for it.
I got to read the part you really wanted me to read.
That was it, man. The comic ended there. It would have ended on the highest note possible.
Yeah, I agree. That was so fucking good. I think that's why I want to read that. That is why I want to read more, because I'm curious to see where it goes. But I'm also I'm also hoping they do reboot it, because if 150 is the end, that gives me a good goal to work towards. Like knowing this is the end of the run. Like that's the end of this story. I think you're right.
I'd dedicate a bit more to it too if that was the case, but I guess we'll see, because I don't know.
I just know Hickman, I think, is one of the names they've been throwing around that's gonna be writing some Turtles, like big names for comic. We'll see what happens. All right, but I do want to say that if you enjoyed this episode, we have a whole bunch of other Turtle stuff and Street Fighter stuff to go check out. You will see in the show notes of this. All our TMT and Street Fighter content will be in the show notes. So if you do want more of that, go right there and click it. Otherwise, you can go right on Podbean, find over 600 other episodes that we've done of this podcast. Type in Street Fighter, type in Turtles, type in Power Rangers, Batman. You will find stuff for all those things. Or RoboCop. You can find a comic if you want to hear that. Go ahead. We have lots of other random shit that we do, so definitely go check all that out. You want to support the show? We do a Patreon. A little dog vote in our Patreon poll. You'll see a link in the show notes to that. We have polls every month, sometimes 2, sometimes 1. We also have a Discord. That's free. Join our Discord. You see a link in the show notes to that. We're always happy to have new people join and chat with us. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Elena at Hell Hasfreak. Follow her on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. You see a link to her link tree in the show notes. And give a shout out to Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. Check out No Men's of Fantasy, Nintendo main podcast, Talk Games, Chew Bubblegum, just to name a couple of the ones that I work with. You should definitely check out some friends of mine. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Thread, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, audio only. You can find Games My Mom Found stuff there. And please rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye now.